All right, I'm starting now. Let me know when you get it up.
Yeah. What?
All right, I started the stream, so go ahead and pull it up. Let me know when you're good.
Yep.
All right, everybody, this is your boy Is Nefarious, and I am here with my partner in crime for this new product, dropping the Saints Row, and we're gonna pick up the Premier Madden League report. Uh, Goes hand in hand with the fantasy report, but this is basically just gonna be about league stuff. Trades that go through, power rankings, anything league wide. It's gonna come on the league report, and we're gonna talk about it. My partner in crime here is HD Little Teeth or Little T, whatever you want to call him. Go ahead and introduce yourself fully.
I don't really have to anymore. Gonna talk to Shayna. Well, I guess I'm HD T. I have the Browns.
And so, last season you were in the playoffs, and how far? What happened in the playoffs? Did you go buy the wild card? This is not me trying to be an asshole, but did you go buy the wild card or did you lose in the wild card?
I lost to Kurt.
Oh yeah, that's right. You lost the Kurt, and that was yeah. All right, yeah. So HD Little T is the Browns user. Most of you in PML already know who he is, so you don't really have to worry about that. For people first listening, he is the league troll, and one of the funniest guys in the chat. I must say. So it's gonna be fun having you aboard, and I can't wait until we take a look at what I got and planned for you. So today we're gonna talk about the AFC off-season grades. Speaking about their draft, their off-season signings and free agency, even including trades, and then an overall off-season grade. And we're going to talk about some key additions and subtractions from each team in the AFC. So let's dive right into it. First, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. Some key additions is John Simpson, the offensive guard, Ben Jones, the center, and Trevon Diggs. All these key additions are rookies that seem to be startable in their first season. And then the one subtraction is Austin Safarian Jenkins. He was more of a second tight end for him. So I don't know how big of a subtraction that is, but he felt the need that, well, he felt like he could just let him walk. Um, any thoughts on this? As you can see, we got a C minus free agency grade. He wasn't really active, didn't do much in free agency. A B in the draft, as you know, he's got a couple starters from the draft, and a C plus overall off season. Anything you got to say about the Bengals total off season?
I'm actually kind of with surprised by his free agency. He didn't make any, just the one. Um, Ben Jones was his only. So I'm actually surprised they didn't pick up more guys, just because of.
Yeah, so the only signing was really Ben Jones. Yeah, the only signing was Ben Jones, so not very active in this offseason. Seeing Austin Safarian Jenkins go was probably that's a nice athletic tight end, but he's got Tyler Eifert and he's got Uzama, I believe. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. Do you know how to pronounce that tight end's name? The second tight end in Cincinnati. All right, let's see here. I barely heard you on that. Could you say that again? Yeah, exactly. Um, just one second. I gotta. So Safarian Jenkins, like he's a faster guy. So we'll see exactly what happens. We ran into a little technical difficulties there. My headset unplugged and it kind of took you off the TV instead of my headset. So had to fix that up. But let's move on to the next team. Hopefully the rest of it runs smoother. So we're going to the Buffalo Bills now. We got Dalvin Cook, Grant Delpit, Sammy Watkins, and Cordero Patterson as key additions. I put Patterson in there because he's going to be the main kick return guy, and he's pretty dangerous with the ball in his hands, so that's why he's on that list. And for a main subtraction, he's got Corey Ford, who's an offensive lineman, a pretty good one that he lost. For the grades, we got an A for free agency, A minus for draft, and A for offseason overall. I think the Bills had a pretty good offseason in general. Trading for Dalvin Cook and Sammy Watkins was pretty big. Having Cordero Patterson as well, adding some. I'm not quite catching the word I'm looking for. Adding some depth, kinda, but adding some X Factor type people like that with the ball in their hands, they can make something happen. What's your thoughts on the Buffalo Bills?
Well, like you said, it was good. It was a good off season. Um, I mean, I don't even know. He just made his running back room better. His DBs are already good, and he just added another one. And then to bring Sammy Watkins back was really good for having Josh Allen, giving him a #1 wide receiver officially.
Yeah, and the thing is too, I don't know about the free agency grade. I won't really give him an A. This was actually Bacon's grade for him. He didn't do much in free agency. Most of his stuff was through trades. I guess we could include that within the free agency. So if you include that with free agency, then you'd get an A. But most of it was trades. But a awesome draft getting Grant Delpit. Just that guy alone, the best player in the draft, gives you a great grade there. Let's dive into the next one. We got the Denver Broncos. So the Denver Broncos, as you can see on the screen right now, key additions, we got Jonathan Taylor, the running back, Henry Ruggs III, wide receiver, Marcel Darius, the defensive tackle, Ndamukong Suh, who could play defensive tackle or defensive end, and Devin McCourty. Some key subtractions, Joe Flacco is gone, so the Drew Lock era is official without anybody in the waiting or anybody in the rearview mirror for Drew Lock. It's pretty much his show. Then you got Emmanuel Sanders, who he lost in free agency, and then Derek Wolfe, who also left in free agency, I believe. For the grades I gave him an A plus for free agency, A plus for draft, and A plus for offseason. I like the signing of Devin McCourty, Marcel Darius, and Ndamukong Suh, adding some depth, especially losing Derek Wolfe. What are your thoughts on the draft and the free agency from the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, when me and Q did our thing, we mentioned the Broncos for being one of the top winners for free agents, just because they had so many pickups and so many good pickups. It was just the whole defense that was already good just got another bump up, and then obviously I would consider them winning or close to winning the draft with John Taylor in like the third round and Henry Ruggs. I don't know how they both fell to him so far, but I guess we'll see what happens. But
Yeah, that's when you get two key players like that in the draft, it's an automatic win. That's why I gave him the A plus. Let's take a look at the Cleveland Browns. As you can see on the screen, key additions: DeMar Dotson, Andrew Thomas, Trey Waynes, and Raekwon Davis. For the subtractions, I got Sheldon Richardson. So as you could see on the screen, I gave him a B plus in free agency. I gave a C minus in the draft. I could actually give a C plus now that I think about it with the Andrew Thomas and Raekwon Davis. And then I gave a B minus for the total offseason. So the reason I gave a C minus to HD Little T in the draft is because he drafted Jalen Hurts and a couple running backs in two positions where he is primed for the future with Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb. So, what are your thoughts on my grades there?
Listen. One, Jalen Hurts is just a backup. I needed a backup. I'm not relying on Taysom Hill to throw the ball. Rushing wise, the running backs, I need speed. I think Chubb's only like a 92, but I don't want him to be like in every single play. And as you could tell with Cam Akers, I have no issue, sitting Nick Chubb if I need to and playing somebody. And then I'm just going to let the three all rotate and go through.
Yeah, it worked pretty well because you just played your second preseason game and you had a pretty strong performance from what I saw. So it works pretty well grabbing those two running backs. But this was made before that, and that's kind of how I felt when I made it. I feel like there was a couple other draft picks where you could have filled other holes, and you used it on positions where you're primed and ready to go. So, but we'll move on. Since you think I was wrong on that one, we'll move on to the Los Angeles Chargers. We got our boy Q or Key. Some key additions: Austin Seferian Jenkins, Jameis Winston, David Onyama. Then you got Darren Paulo, who is a rookie. Some key subtractions. Philip Rivers, who he complained about and wanted to move all season. He is going to know the meaning of having a star quarterback and not having a star quarterback. He's going to feel that this year. Then he's got Russell Okung, the offensive lineman, who I believe retired, and then Thomas Davis Sr., who also retired. So how do you
I think
feel?
all three of them retired.
Huh?
I think all three retired.
Yeah, they all retired. I didn't mention
Yeah.
that, but Philip Rivers definitely retired.
Yes.
For his grades, I got B for free agency, A minus for draft, and B plus for offseason. How do you feel about Key, his free agency and his draft and his total offseason?
Why are you calling him Key?
Because I'm not quite sure what the hell it is. So he might have to come on and say. I don't even think he knows how to pronounce his name, to be honest. So I think we're kind of everybody gets to choose what they want to call him and how they want to pronounce it.
I guess. Well, I actually had a discussion with Q about his quarterback situation. I'm not sure what he's choosing to do because right now he's playing the rookie. He's a 65 and his deep accuracy is terrible, but he's got 95 throw power. And Winston has yet to see a snap this preseason, so I don't know if he's just saving him, see what happens, but he's definitely going to learn the struggle between Philip Rivers and then Japa Sowitz, Jameis Winston.
Yeah, when the real season starts, it's a nice little toy during preseason. But I mean, I put up good numbers with Kyle Allen this week. But when I come to the regular season, I know that's not going to happen when everybody's actually playing their starters, and it becomes a lot tougher. But
Right.
let's move on to the Kansas City Chiefs. Some key additions: we got Travis Etienne and Carlton McKivitz, I believe. Yeah, Mikovits, who's an offensive lineman. Some key subtractions. We got Sammy Watkins and LaShawn McCoy. Not huge subtractions. Sammy Watkins is a little bigger because he really doesn't have that wide receiver too with a high overall. He does have McCall Hardman, but he is not really a high overall type player. He's got the speed, but he doesn't have all the ability that Sammy Watkins had. He went from an 83 to a 73, so that's gonna change a bit.
He's balling right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Preseason, 8 for 225 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's probably just
yeah,
getting
I mean,
content. And
it's preseason though. That's the only thing. So you gotta think
I
about
don't know. I
people
wouldn't take
not.
that much away from it.
Yeah, well,
We know how Mike is, and Mike lost. He's got no choice now. They moved on from Sammy Watkins. He lost Tyreek for half the year last year, so I mean, he's got to feel good about it. I mean, his route, his route running will get there if he contents through like even preseason. He'll be just fine at route running. He's fast. He's got hands. I wouldn't be too worried about it. The only thing I'm worried about is that he's 5'10".
yeah. So I gave him a C for free agency because he had that. He doesn't have a lot of depth there. He has Tyreek Hill and McCole Harmon, but he doesn't have any other depth at the wide receiver position, and there was plenty of depth in this year's class. Um, B plus for the draft. He got his running back that he needs. And then B minus for the total off season. How do you feel about that whole wide receiver? You think he could just roll with Tyreek Hill and McCole Harmon and not have anybody really depth wise behind them?
Yeah, I'm not sure how he's going to do it behind those two. Um, Unless he's going to go to like Reggie Davis and Aaron. Oh, he did pick up Aaron Fuller. I mean, got a 56 overall, but he's still fast. Same with Reggie Davis, bad overall, fast. I don't know. I don't know if he picked those guys through like liking them or the favorites or whatever. But he loses Tyreek again, he's probably done. I'll say this: if he loses Tyreek Hill, he will miss the playoffs.
That's a hot take right there. That is a real hot take, and I gotta say I can't totally disagree with it. I mean, yeah, he's got some competition in the West. Q, as you say, he's not too far off. I mean, he could sneak in, and then you got Kurt, who's also in the West, correct? And you got Fallen, who's gotten better, who's also in the West. So you got a pretty strong division there. So if he loses Tyreek Hill, he could definitely. I could see him not making it to the playoffs without a key number one wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he'd do it.
You got to think Travis Kelsey's going to play a big role if Tyreek goes down. So it's pretty much going to be the Travis Kelsey train if Tyreek goes down. So we'll see exactly what happens. Let's jump into the
Hold on,
yeah
or he's gonna run. What's his name?
yeah
Etienne, whatever. He could run the shit out of him.
yeah. We'll see. I mean, he, people say he missed in the draft. He got the wrong running back. So we'll see exactly how he performs during the regular season. Let's just jump over to the Indianapolis Colts. We got key additions in Albert Wilson, Sheldon Richardson, Patrick Robinson, Charles Clay, and it's key subtraction in Jack Doyle. So Sheldon Richardson and Patrick Robinson were both from trades. Albert Wilson and Charles Clay were both free agent signings. For his grades, I gave him a C for free agency, C minus for draft, and then a C minus for the offseason. Big reason he got the C minus in the draft is because he has the speedy, shifty running back, and I believe he drafted one, maybe two.
Adrian Killins.
Did he draft one or two in this past draft?
I think he drafted 2 running backs.
Yeah, I don't know if he drafted Joshua Kelly or that was
Sure.
a free agent signing.
Yeah,
But
he drafted him.
yeah, so he drafted Joshua Kelly and Adrian Killins. One he has Marlon Mack, who's 82 overall, and then Naheem Hines, who's a 91. So it was kind of questionable why he would draft not one but two running backs. Um, but how do you feel exactly about his offseason?
I mean, at least Kelly was picked up in the 4th round. I think Killins was. I think he took him like the 2nd round. I was gonna take Killins I picked him up last year in PML, so I was gonna cheese my way to the top. But I don't know. He says he's gonna run Killins till he gets him to Hines. He tried moving Hines last year, so I'm not sure what he's trying to do. But I'm also not sure about the switch between Charles Clay and Jack Doyle. Could he not pay for him, or did he trade him away?
It was a free agency, so he kind of so
Just
Jack
let him
Doyle
walk.
was his if he was using him correctly, he was his blocking tight end, but also his number two tight end behind Eric Ebron on passing downs. He kind of went to Charles Clay. He's more of um, a receiving option than Jack Doyle, but even his blocking is pretty good, especially in the passing game. But
His run blocking's terrible.
yeah, his run blocking's terrible. His pass blocking's pretty good with 71. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good. I don't know if that's something he looked at, but I think he got a better receiving option in Charles Clay. But I think he does hurt a little bit in the run blocking game, and you know how heavily he runs the ball and relies on that part of his game. Let's go ahead and jump into the Miami Dolphins, who had a bunch of moving parts this offseason. Bunch of draft picks, bunch of free agency, some trades. Let's talk about some key additions. He signed Nelson Aguilar and moved him to running back to his original position. He signed Jordan Howard. He traded, I believe, for Mohamed Sanu Sr., drafted Colin Johnson, and signed Marcus Gilbert in free agency. So those are all key additions. He did lose Devontae Parker to a trade, and he did lose Kenyon Drake to free agency, I believe. So his grades I gave him an A+ for free agency. A lot of key positions there that he picked up. A+ for draft. Had a lot of picks, and he didn't really miss on many. And he got an overall A+ in the offseason. How do you feel about the Miami Dolphins and the way they went about their offseason?
Um, I still don't know how to feel about Nelson Aguilar yet. Being a halfback, I don't know if he's maybe going to try the 1-2 punch, throw it to his running back more, or what. He also picked up Jordan Howard, so that's where the 2 punch comes in. That's his power. Um, I'm I'm not a fan of him trading Devontae Parker though, at all.
Yeah, I think that's a position where he needs the bodies. Muhammad's new. I mean, he's got 86 speed. He's definitely a better option than uh, Devontae Parker is a better option than Mohamed Sanu. So I'm
I
kind
don't
of
I don't see his offense changing much at all.
yeah. It's going to be a lot of Jakeem Grant and another key
And
addition.
Perryman and CeeDee Lamb.
Yep, another key addition I didn't mention because of the way he runs his offense and kind of that high flying type of style. Rashad Perriman might
Yeah.
be a key addition, given his athletic ability. He might go off along with
Yeah,
Jakeem Grant.
I expect halfback passes. I expect a whole lot of sweeps again. Just Cookie Boy is going to be the same person he was last year. Nothing's going to change. His roster, yeah, he got a lot of good guys, but just like those positions alone, I don't, I don't see it changing much. But I think he's going to Khalil Tate, so he's going to have a running quarterback. He could be going option. Who knows?
Yeah, Khalil Tate is somebody to look out for in the future. I mean, he used his content last season on Josh Rosen, so who knows if he's gonna go Khalil Tate at this point. Maybe he'll do it for the YouTube series. But if I'm him, I would build him in the background and then, work my way to Khalil Tate and use Josh Rosen at least for this season. But let's move on to the next team. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Some key additions. He had Tua out of Alabama, Randall Cobb from free agency, George Fant, I believe, was from free agency as well. He had J.R. Reed from the draft and Joe Gaziano from the draft. Some key subtractions: Dede Westbrook, who got traded over to yours truly. Seth DeValve, the tight end. I believe he was his second tight end. Marquise Lee, and then Marcel Darius. So for free agency, I gave him a C. His draft A+. I mean, when you draft Tua and you get your next guy, you're always gonna get an A+. And then the total offseason, I gave a B. So how do you feel exactly about his offseason?
Excuse me. Um, yeah, the only thing that stands out is Tua, but I don't see him winning any more games than he did last year.
Yeah, it all comes
I
down to
don't
the
think it's I
user.
don't think it's a QB play. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think it's QB play. I don't think he wins any more than 5.
Yeah, I mean, 5 would be a upgrade from last season, so we'll see exactly how he does. Hopefully he gets some wins under his belt, and hopefully he makes a name for himself in that division. But we'll see exactly what happens. Tua is a good addition to that, so good luck to him and good luck to Tua. Let's move on to the New York Jets. So we got the Jets here. Some key additions. He had Chase Young, who he took first overall this past draft. OJ Howard, who he traded from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Paulson Adebu, I believe, is that how you pronounce it? I believe he was also somebody he drafted this past draft, a cornerback, athletic
Yeah, he
cornerback.
looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah, and then he had some key subtractions in Chris Herndon and Kelvin Beachum, offensive lineman, and I believe Herndon is defensive line, if I'm correct, or maybe even linebacker. I'm not quite sure. But free agency C plus. You got an A in the draft. You got a couple starters right there in the cornerback and the defensive end, and a B for total off season. So how do you feel about Jets off season?
I think I think his free agency is actually a lot better than a C plus. He signed like 13 guys, filled holes, got some depth. I think his free agency is a little better than it's. I guess it sounds, but yeah, he signed a lot of people. Obviously, he beefed up his D line, so now he's got Chase Young, got Leonard Williams and
Yep.
Quentin Williams.
Yep.
So it might be a little hard to run on, but linebacker wise, I don't. Yeah, he doesn't even have the linebackers to make up for it. Maybe it's not. As soon as you get past the D line, I think you'll be fine. But Chase Young is definitely a good pickup. I do like OJ Howard. I don't even think he had a good tight end before he picked him up. So I think Bacon did a little better. I'd probably give him like a B plus.
Yeah,
I'll bump it up a little bit.
the funny thing is he's the one that graded his own off season. So those are his
Well,
personal.
I understand. I understand where he's coming from. He probably also doesn't want to put his neck out there and he does bad and suddenly it's like, oh, well, you gave yourself an A and a B and
Yeah.
a A plus or whatever. But that corner he picked up is going to help him a lot. He's got 91 speed, 84 man, 71 zone. I think he'll be all right. I know he wanted to move on from Jermaine Johnson at some point. I don't think he cared how it was, but he's getting old. He's slow. I doubt he'll even play. He's got Ken Crawley, which I think he signed in the off. So I expect like Crawley, maybe, and Adebo to start probably.
Yeah, he's definitely got a quality piece to build right there. If he gets a development role, then it could be a force for a cornerback one with his athletic ability. Let's jump into the next one, and we got the New England Patriots, the forever active New England Patriots and Djax. Key additions, we got Devontae Parker from the Miami Dolphins, in division trade, so that was kind of odd. And then you got the tight end from the Carolina Panthers and Ian Thomas. Some key subtractions: Benjamin Watson, the tight end, Kyle Van Noy, I believe retired. I did
No,
not
free agency.
he went to free agency. So Kyle Van Noy is a
Yes, he did.
subtraction right there, and then Devin McCourty who went to the Denver Broncos. I gave him a F for free agency, C for draft, and a D for the offseason. Not very active. His only additions were through trades. Uh, I don't think he really improved or filled a hole with that tight end spot. I believe there was some options in free agency that he could have went with. How do you feel about his total offseason?
Um, Honestly, I think he was inactive the whole time. Besides doing that trade only, so you guys are actually pretty generous with the. Because I even make his draft an F because he. So you can't get a grade if you didn't fucking show up. So, but other than that, the Devontae Parker trade was good. Um, I wouldn't have let McCoy don't think, unless there's better options out there, which I doubt he filled
Yeah.
since he was inactive. So unless he got something else along that Devontae Parker trade, which I doubt, but yeah, that just a terrible offseason.
Yeah, you can't really have a good off season when you're not active at all. So hopefully next off season, he's got some things wrong where he's got the in-law watching the baby and stuff like that. He'll be able to, tune in the off season and not have a
Him and
Q-esque off season, if you know what I mean, from Madden 19.
yeah, him and his boy King of My Craft
Yeah,
probably don't hanging out active together.
yeah.
They get enough too. I don't even want to talk about them. They get enough.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next team. We got the Oakland Raiders, and there was only one addition and not really any subtractions. This team pretty much stood the same. I included Eric Flowers, who's a low-grade offensive lineman, because that's all he really brought in, and Eric Flowers, I'm pretty sure, is gonna start for him. For the Raiders, I gave him a C for free agency. Didn't really gain any holes, didn't have to fill any holes, so I gave him a flat C, B for a draft, and C plus for off season. Not really much to go on with the Raiders. It doesn't. It pretty much stood the same. I don't think there was any really big additions or subtractions, unless I missed something.
Um, Not really. I mean, it looks like through draft he reached on. Well, I don't know if he reached on a pick, but it looks like he went in a couple O line, but they're terrible. At least he's trying. Cause I know I talked to him before, and he said he didn't like his O line's getting old, and you need to start replacing them, and it's not doing well. So Eric Flowers is still a 68, so I don't know if I'd really.
Yeah,
I don't even know. There's just a hole there still.
yeah.
I don't know what you can do about that.
Yeah, he's still got that hole. Like I said, I only included him because he's probably gonna start, unless he
Yeah,
trades
it
for
looks like
somebody.
he is.
Yeah, unless he trades for somebody or finds a way to fill that hole in a different way. It looks like Eric Flowers is gonna be a key addition because he's gonna see the field for him. Let's
Yeah.
jump into the Baltimore Ravens. As you said, speaking about someone that wasn't very active, but I think he might have been a little active because
I think he was in free agency. I think we he might have been in all four. Quietly, he was in all three. I think I seen him bid here and there, but I don't know if it
yeah.
was his or if his thing's on auto.
All right, so yeah, some key additions. Tyler, I don't know how to pronounce that last name, and I'm not gonna try. I don't know if you want to give it a shot.
Nope.
Then we got Muhammad Wilkerson, Dylan Moses, who I wanted in a draft and kind of threw me in a panic when he got drafted. Also, was it Kenneth Murray, the other linebacker that was there, and Danny Trevathan, who also was signed. Some key additions there, some key subtractions. Jimmy Smith, Kenneth Dixon, Matthew Judon, and Pernell McPhee. A few starters there, and Kenneth Dixon, who was a good 1-2 punch kind of deal. He was a good little running back to plug and pull here and there, so I included him on the list. Free agency, I gave him a B plus with the signings of Danny Trevathan and Muhammad Wilkerson filling some holes. I gave him a B for the draft, even though he wasn't there. I think the computer did a good job for him with some picks, and then a B plus for the off season. How do you feel about his off season?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Super quiet, like I said. I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean,
I
losing
don't.
Jimmy, I think he was slowing down anyway. So it's a loss, but I don't think it's too big. He still has Brandon Carr's about to go, but he still has Humphrey and Young. And if I were him, I would have contented for all last year because he's an animal. He just got to get his own up. Kenneth Dixon, I don't know. I was told that his run game beats people. I know Corey Grant's got like 12 rushes for like 280 yards or something like that, something crazy. So
What, in this off season?
no,
I
in the
mean
so
preseason.
far, yes, he's I don't know what he's doing, but so Kenneth Dixon is in a crazy loss now that he replaced it, and then losing Judon was something you probably shouldn't have done. He's nice and young too, but we'll see what his run game does. I've heard it's really good. He didn't even beat me on the ground. He beat me through the air when we played last year. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens. This is going to be a divisional matchup for you. Hopefully he's a little quicker to the trigger though when it comes to responding to some matchups. Let's jump into the next one. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Some big additions, starting offensive lineman and Micah Potty, um, the drafted wide receiver in Laviska Chenault Jr. Then you got the tight end Grant Calcaterra, and then you got Sean Davis, who's going to probably start safety for him. Subtractions, you got Mike Hilton and Ramon Foster. I gave him a C minus for the free agency. No real big signings. Just the filler and offensive lineman and the filler at safety. A for a draft. I think you got a couple good players there in wide receiver and tight end, and then a B for the offseason in total. How do you feel about the Steelers offseason?
um, not bad, I guess. Good thing he went for O line. Again, being in the division that we're in, um, defenses are actually pretty good by all teams. So you definitely want to get your line up. Um, he added a second receiver who will probably, well, I don't know if he'll start because he's got 89 speed over James Washington, but I think the Ravens and the Browns have the DBs to cover everybody. But I think the Bengals will be in trouble because they only have William Jackson. So adding that wide receiver would be really good with James Washington. They're all young, so you could throw Switzer in there too. That tight end, I don't know. Maybe he'll make him a fullback or something, and because I know he throws to his fullback and he runs with him a few times, but I don't know what his plan with him is either because he already has a tight end, so unless he's planning for retirement. But it was a pretty good offseason by him. He made a lot of right moves.
Yeah, I think the tight end specifically. I mean, you have Vance McDonald, who's 30 years old and probably heading towards a decline. And that tight end's 21. He's a lot more athletic. I think he'll be a better option for him, and he might even go with him from the beginning of the season and use Vance as a tight end too and run some two tight end sets. Since his wide receiver depth is not as strong. Actually, it is. Actually, it's a lot stronger. I thought James Washington was a low overall, but it is stronger than I
No,
thought.
they're all pretty good.
Yeah, they're all pretty solid. I thought they were a lot lower overall, but I mean, he's got some weapons, some young weapons. I mean, if he contented all last season, he could have some real tough matchups for you. But you know, you got to content to really get these guys up. Let's jump into the next one. That actually might be our last one, but nope, we got the Houston Texans. And then we have the Titans also, who would probably be next. But the Houston Texans, some key additions. The tight end, Albert. I am not pronouncing that. Emmanuel Agba. And then you got Brian Poole and Mekhi Becton. I believe that's how you pronounce that. A little easier than the tight end, that's for sure. And then you got the key subtraction in Jonathan Joseph, who we lost to retirement. I gave him an A for free agency. I think the sign in Brian Poole, taking
That's exactly what I was thinking.
taking over for Jonathan Joseph is a good signing right there. Emmanuel Agba
Agba,
is a good signing
Agba
as well.
replaces Clowney.
Yep, exactly. So it's a couple good signings, and I give him B plus for draft. He's got a couple starters from the draft, so I think that's always a sign of a good draft. And then an A minus for the off season. So how do you feel exactly about his total off season?
Yeah, I agree with all of it basically. I was actually gonna go for Agba, bring it back to Cleveland, but I did not want to. I was trying to keep my money where it was because I got to re-sign some guys this year and next year. So I wasn't really trying to get any bid wars, but I definitely wanted Agba. I did actually take Trey Waynes from him though.
Yeah.
He was bidding on him, and I went in and I bid. I'm surprised he actually didn't count under anything, but at least he got Brian Poole to cover up that spot, who's still pretty all right. He's not as fast as Trey Waynes, but he'll do the job for now.
Yeah, exactly. Until he drafts the next guy, and he's somebody that will throw out some content as well. So he has C.J. Henderson, who's in the waiting a corner that he did draft. So maybe that's somebody he looks at to build and pretty much fill that cornerback one role in the future. But let's go ahead and jump into the Tennessee Titans, who will probably be last but not least if I'm trying to think of all the teams.
Yeah,
But
he's last.
yeah, so we got T. Higgins, the wide receiver he drafted. David Woodward, linebacker that he drafted. He signed Vernon Davis, and he drafted Jake Fromm. Some key subtractions in Delaney Walker. I believe Delaney Walker retired, so that's a big hit, especially how productive he was for that team. Gave him a B minus for free agency, a A plus for the draft. As you can see, he's got a quarterback possibly for the future. Great wide receiver that everybody was really looking at. And David Woodward, who's a linebacker that he was able to get in the draft that could start for him day one. And then I gave him an A minus for his total offseason. How do you feel about the grades there and his offseason?
I like Fromm. I'm a fan of the Titans moving on from Mariota. I think he actually wants to. I would kind of ride him out this year and content Jake for now, I guess. Unless you want to take the hits, but I guess his accuracy's not terrible. Actually, I'd probably remove him right away. If you don't want Mariota, that is. And then Higgins will probably start he'll probably be wide receiver 2 in my opinion. I'd run Davis, Higgins, and Brown. And then at tight end, he didn't really lose anything. I'd start Jonnu Smith over Vernon Davis. Just kind of let Vernon be the backup. So, yeah, Walker's a good player, but I don't think he's going to lose much going with Smith.
Yeah, and the thing about Marcus Mariota is you take a look at that penalty. If he traded him or anything, he's got a $38.3 million penalty from that contract that they signed for Marcus Mariota. So he's in a tough spot. Not exactly what he wants.
He'd save close to almost half, 15,000 of it.
Yeah, maybe.
Still save, but he's still coughing up another. What is it, 25?
Yep. So maybe, like you said, this offseason he thinks about moving Marcus Mariota and just, build Jake Fromm throughout the season this season and then move on next season. Maybe
he's
the
got 5 years remaining on his contract.
yeah, maybe the penalty won't be as high and he could kind of save a little money. But I don't think he's gonna get away from that contract easily.
No way.
It's definitely gonna take some work, and he's definitely gonna have to eat some money. But we'll see exactly what he does there. But that's pretty much gonna do it for the first episode of the League Report. It's going to be presented by HD Little T and myself. Pretty much a partnership on this. We're gonna do a bunch of stuff. Stuff you'll look forward to is stuff like the top 50, PML top 50 players. We're gonna release. We're gonna do game of the week. We will do anything league based as far as trades. We'll talk about award people that are front runners for awards. We'll talk about key injuries, stuff like that. Whatever we could talk about and bring up, we'll bring up on a league report and try to give you all that content. I know HG's got a bunch of ideas that he probably wants to bring aboard. I got a bunch of ideas, and I think we're gonna have a nice little project for everybody this season.
Yeah, I'm excited to get going. I don't know if I have anything yet, but I know we had this discussion before we even started PML this year, so we're probably further ahead than we think. So, yeah, I'm excited to do this and start getting some stuff out there.
And yeah, the best part about it is we're both going to be building our teams and using those content points to you know get our favorite players to their overall, specifically Kyle Allen, getting him up there and making him the heir apparent to Drew Brees. And I don't know if you want to use all this on Cam Akers. He looked pretty nice in the preseason game.
He did. He did. Like I said, he's probably just gonna be that back when I need something to go. If I need to get outside or something like that, I don't know. I'm gonna fit him in some way from what you saw in the pistol playbook week 2. I'm gonna run it again week 3. See how it goes. I might just run it the whole preseason. If I adjust, then we'll see. But if not, the week 1, I'll just be back in my normal playbook.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll be fun to see exactly what you do with, especially having Ahmed too, who's also another athletic running back.
He
So,
actually, he actually took the opening kick to the house that game.
oh,
Last game against Broncos.
oh
I
man,
called it the revenge game against Fallen,
oh
since Fallen
jeez,
took John Taylor instead of what's his name, Salvin, whatever.
Salvin Ahmed. I mean,
Yes.
it would have been nice to have a little reunion, but he did take Jonathan Taylor, and I don't think he missed on that. Jonathan Taylor is definitely
He
something
took
special.
him actually like 2 picks in front of me. I was actually just about to pick him.
Oh, you were
Took
too.
him right in front
Yeah,
of me.
Jonathan
Yeah.
Taylor. I'm surprised. I'm surprised he slipped that far. Chiefs. Tell you what, the Chiefs definitely missed on the running back in my eyes. If you think about
I think he'll
Jonathan,
be all right.
I mean,
he'll
I
be
think
all
he'll be all right because he is King Mike, but I think he did miss when you look at Jonathan Taylor and Etienne. Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely might have missed there, but we'll see exactly how the development traits fall, um, and we'll see what the season brings to everybody. Jonathan Taylor could get a torn ACL first game, so you'll never know exactly what happens. So, but that's gonna do it for this video. It's been a pleasure having HD on. It's gonna be a pleasure working with you and getting all this content out. Is there anything else you want to say to the people?
No.
No, screw the people. All right, we're out of here.